My name is Jess and this is going to be the first video on my YouTube channel. They're super terrifying and I'm really anxious right now. So for my first video I thought it would be good to do a wrap up of the last month of reading that I've been doing, just so that it can give sort of a hint as what my reading taste is like, what my reviewing taste is like, and if you guys like the stuff that I'm reading or you want to hear more from me about them, then you can let me know. So without making this too long, let's get into the books that I've read in the month of August. The first book that I read is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. This book is about a fictional, I believe a fictional island, I'm pretty sure it's not real, called Skarmus. Every year around autumn time, these animals come up onto the shore from the sea, called the Kapaluyishka. The water horses are basically, they're like super dangerous sort of skeletal sort of horses. In my head they look like thestrals, and every year the people on the island catch them, train them and race them. And the main character in this book is called Puck, and she enters the race and decides to ride her own horse, which is like extremely dangerous because the Kapaluyishka are really violent. And she decides to race her own horse to win the prize money for her family. Everything written by Maggie Stiefvater is so beautifully written and it's so like vivid, and I love everything that she writes, and her characters are so vivid as well, which I really like. So my rating for this one was a 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. The second book that I read in August, I don't actually have a physical copy of because it belongs to my boyfriend. It's Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, set about 30 years in the future, and it's sort of a dystopian novel. And this simulation game online thing called the Oasis has been built. At the very beginning of the book, the creator of the Oasis, called George Halliday, some guy called Halliday, dies, and he leaves his entire fortune, including ownership of the game and everything that he owns, so billions and billions of dollars, to the person that can solve these riddles that he's left behind in the game involving Easter eggs. Fast forward 5 years, and the main character in Ready Player One, called Wade, after 5 years randomly solves the first clue, and it sort of shows the race after that of everyone figuring it out as well, and the race to try and win the golden Easter egg, and the entire fortune. And I love that book so much. It gave me such a rush. It was so different and I'm so excited to see the film. So all in all, I gave Ready Player One, I think, 4 out of 5 stars. Again, just because it was so immersive and I loved all the references so much, and I think anyone who loves 80s pop culture and sort of nerd culture would really like this. I've already been filming for 7 minutes. Third book I read in August was Zillah Green by Vanessa Curtis, and this was again a reread. I've had this for literally years. It's really short and it's about a girl called Zillah Green, who suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder in terms of like germs and dirt and stuff. So overall I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars, because I think a lot of younger readers would be really good to read this because it's really easy to read, but it opens your eyes a little bit, and if you don't suffer with anything like this, it would be really interesting to read and see. So 3 out of 5 stars for that one. The third book I read was yet another reread, and it is Brightest Star in the Sky by Marian Keyes. This is a weird one. I don't know why I reread this because I didn't love it the first time around, but I reread it and it's super big. Like, it took me ages, but it basically follows the lives of 3 groups of people, I want to say, in one house, so in Dublin. So the house has 3 floors and somebody lives on the top, somebody lives in the middle, somebody lives on the bottom, and it shows their lives and how they intertwine, and all their families and their friends join into the story, and it's told through the perspective of this unseen presence in the building. That was interesting and it was sweet and it made me happy and there were some twists that I really enjoyed. So overall I'm going to give this like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read in the month of April was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Now this is kind of a harder one to explain in terms of synopsis. Rainbow Rowell wrote Fangirl, which I have over there, follows this fanfiction writer called Kath, and Kath writes fanfiction for this fictional series called Simon Snow and the Mage's Heir, or the Mage's Heir, or something like that. And she writes fanfiction for this fictional series. And Carry On is the final story of Simon Snow. So Rainbow Rowell decided to write about this fictional series that is written by Gemma T. Leslie in Fangirl, and then she decided to write the last Simon Snow book herself. And it follows Simon Snow, who comes back to his 8th year at Watford School of Magic, I believe, and he's sort of leading up to fight this great big villain called the Insidious Humdrum. And there's the professor that helps him, and then there's his friends Penelope and Agatha, and his roommate is like his other enemy called Baz, and it sort of follows their story. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 stars purely because it just didn't do it for me. It felt like pure fan bait. Like, even as a standalone, I didn't like it. I didn't like the perspectives in it. Suit me, I didn't enjoy it. Next book that I read in August was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. If you haven't heard about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, then how? And also, it is the screenplay. So I read the screenplay of a stage play that is happening currently at the West End in London, and it's going to be in Broadway, I believe, soon. I'm not too sure, and I really wanted to see it. I was steadfast about not reading it until I'd seen the play. I was like, I want to go and see it first. I don't want to read the script like that. But then I realised I'm probably never going to get to see it because it's fucking expensive. If you haven't read Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows or any of the Harry Potters, then there might be spoilers ahead, so proceed with caution. It follows literally as soon as Deathly Hallows leaves off, so 19 years after the Battle of Hogwarts at King's Cross Station. And so there's that scene at the end of Deathly Hallows where Harry's children, James and Albus Severus, are going to Hogwarts. It leaves off at that exact moment, and it follows Albus Severus's journey through his first few years at Hogwarts, and his struggle with his sort of identity and being the son of Harry Potter. And then there's some time travel thrown in there as well. I don't want to give too much away because it's such a huge thing and I didn't want it spoiled for me, and luckily I didn't, but unfortunately it did not live up to my expectations. And I will be talking more about this, I think, in other videos because I really want to talk about it. But I did not like this book. I'm giving it 1 out of 5 stars. Like, I hated it. Finally, I did read another 3 books in the month of August, but they're all in the same series, so I'm going to talk about them. The series was The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. Raven Boys, the first one in the series, was a reread that I read last month. So I found it in my box and I was like, yeah, I'll give this another shot. I didn't like it so much the first time, like 5 years ago when I read it, but I fell in love with it, and all I wanted was to read the other 3 books. The 3 books are The Dream Thieves, Blue Lily Lily Blue, and The Raven King. The Raven Cycle basically follows this girl called Blue, who lives with a family of psychics. She meets this group of boys called the Raven Boys, which include Gansey, Adam, Ronan, and Noah, who go to this prep school, this private school in the town called Aglionby Academy, and the boys are basically on this hunt for a dead Welsh king that's supposedly buried in their town. And once you wake him, you'll get a favour, and so she joins them on the quest, and loads of crazy shit happens. I'm giving the Raven Boys and the Dream Thieves 5 out of 5 stars, but I'm gonna give Blue Lily Lily Blue and the Raven King 4 out of 5 stars just because I didn't like them as much. But I definitely am going to be talking about this series more on this channel. And there you have it. That is everything I've read in August. If you've also read any of the books that I've read, let me know what you thought of them, and let me know if you want to hear more about certain books I've read. I love to make more discussions and reviews, so let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!